Okay, this video is going to be a link to a longer lecture. The lecture's over at VegSource. I'll put the link in the description below. Where this came out of was the VegSource guy who runs that over there, Jeff Nelson. He had asked me, how do I get motivated to write so many books? I've written like 20 books or more. I don't know the exact number anymore. And what I would say was like my big secret, if you will, there's sort of like two secrets. Number one, everybody's got problems, sadness, and loneliness, and that sort of stuff. I've got plenty of that in my life. I even think kind of like God. I had a great fun life until I was about 19, and then God told me after that, I want you to be a scholar and a workaholic. And it's almost like I'm like, well, hey, I'd like to have fun like I did in high school. And God always says, get back to work, get back to work. So I can't change it. I'd like to change it, but it's actually not possible for me to change it. So what I've sort of said is, well, I'll just make the most of it. And I figured out ways to really be time efficient. And I also studied I was lucky enough to be around some world champion, Olympic champion athletes. And I studied how do these guys do it, become the best in the world at something. And one of the major keys is you have to really simplify your life. I simplified my life, I think, way more than most people would be able to appreciate. I don't even have a cell phone. I don't need one. I don't want one. I found that I'm much more productive without it. I can constantly think. I'm not distracted by little things. I mean, I never get in a car unless I have an audiobook to listen to. And I think you can kind of judge people by what you hear playing on the radio in their car. If they're listening to an audiobook, that's probably a pretty smart person. If they're listening to the news, they're probably, a clueless person. If they're listening to melody music, they're probably an average, reasonable person. If they're listening to beat music, they're probably an idiot. And so I'm kind of kidding there, but the point is, if you're constantly like absorbing new information from reading in the bathroom, listening to audiobooks in the car, watching educational videos when you're eating dinner, you're going to just keep accumulating a lot of information every day. So anyways, the actual lecture goes into much more detail about, how to get a lot of work done. For example, when this, viral problem thing started a couple years ago, I had like 6 books in my mind that I wanted to write. I'm working full time. How am I going to do this? And I just copied guys like Robert Piercing, who wrote Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance while he was working. He'd go to bed early and he'd wake up early because you're smarter in the morning, and just crank on that and really simplify your life. And I also talk about all these philosophic experts, geniuses and stuff who came up with ways to maximize human performance. So anyways, I'll put the link in the description below. Hope you find it helpful and interesting.